Now, the very first thing that we will be doing today is, see, what we have seen is, like in the last session, what we have seen, whenever we go ahead and complete the project and then switch the platform, it takes a lot of time. It takes time because it has to go for re-import and assess all the assets that is there in the project panel or in the level. Now, right now we don't have anything as of now, so we're gonna go ahead and quickly go ahead and switch the development platform to Android. We have seen how to enable and how to get these options by downloading and installing the Android dependencies that we might have. We're gonna go ahead and save this scene, have it as a sample scene, and we're gonna go ahead and switch the platform. Now, once we go ahead and switch the platform, it's gonna be really quick because right now we don't have anything onto my platform. So now it is done. Let's go ahead and look into what are the things that can be done with this. Let's go ahead and create a plane. Now we will go ahead.
So can you just pause a minute so that we can also reach till that step?
Yeah, sure. Just let me know when you have finished switching.
Yeah, Unity actually takes a little bit of time to, when you start 3D. So it's just loading.
Okay, no problem. So by the time it is switching the platform, let me help you to download the SDK that we will need in order to convert this entire scene onto a Google Cardboard scene. Let me go ahead and quickly share the screen for that. And this is the link. Now over here, you go to the last release that was made on 18th July 2019. That was the last release for the Google Cardboard SDK. After that, it got deprecated. Now, you need to download this Google VR for Unity package. So this is the last package that they have released, and you need to download this Unity package that is on the first link inside asset. Let me go ahead and share this link as well in the chat. So by the time it is switching up the platform, you can go ahead and make a change and download it. So you can go ahead and download it from the GitHub package. You need to download and click on this Google VR for Unity to download this package. Have you guys completed the switching of the platform? Did the switch of platform happen for all of you?
Yeah, for me it is doing. I think it will take some time more, but the package is downloaded, the Unity package.
Great.
So shall we go ahead and install that package, or we need to wait for that? Khagendra sir, when we start Android, this thing every time we don't have to download the modules, right? It's just one time. Hello.
Yeah, so the Android setup is just for once. The Android setup is just for once. You do it
Okay.
once, and every time you don't need to go ahead and download the Android SDK, JDK, and get let it install. No, you don't have to do it every time. It's just for once. Once you do it, it can be integrated for all the projects that you will do from that point onwards. You can switch any project after that. So it is just one time setup for Android switching. Now, if you are looking into like changing the SDK and integrating the VR support, well, that might be different. That you might have to do again and again, as we will be doing now. That now we have downloaded the SDK. Now, what we have to do is our SDK must be also integrated onto the Unity engine. Now, in order to make that happen, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and wherever we have downloaded that SDK, the Unity package, we're going to go ahead and drag it and drop it onto the assets folder. So we're going to go ahead and just drag it and directly drop it onto the assets folder. The another option, another cheap option, or you can say the faster option, is to go inside assets and you can go for import package and custom package. From here, you can also go ahead and browse wherever you have downloaded that package and select the package and click on open, which will also import it for you. So these are the two options to import. And once you import it, you will be shown the details, like what are the things that is there in this entire package. You can, if you want, you can just scroll around and look into what are the packages that is there, and if you want to customize it, you can still customize it. Let's say, for example, I don't need the readme file, so I can just go ahead and just uncheck this file won't be imported onto my scene. So I can just go ahead and look into what are the things that I don't need, and I can go ahead and select what I need. Now there will be lots of options, like if I'm importing it right now, it is showing me all the files that is there is new. But if I go ahead and change it from new to, if I go ahead and try to re-import it, you will see that there will be just, okay, let me import it first. Once it is done, I will re-import it, and you will see that only for the readme file, it will say that it's new, but for all other files, it will say that it is being re-imported. So can you go ahead and try to import it? It will take a few minutes of time to import.
Also, Kugenda sir, when we are first time doing the Android setting, like I was trying yesterday, it when it says select components to install, there was just Unity Android support, and there was no check. Well, I could not check the box.
Which boxes you are referring to? There were two boxes, Android SDK and NDK. And the other option says Open GDK. Which boxes you were trying to select?
No. I'm talking about the Android support setup, sir. The first step only. When we say file, build settings.
Yes. Yeah.
And then I choose Android. And then, you just went to add OpenScenes because you've already installed it before, right? But when I'm doing it first time, I have to say open download page.
Okay, so over there, what you are trying to say is over here you are getting a different options.
Yeah.
So okay, let me go ahead and check that. So I have a 2018 version. Let me open another project in 2018.
I have downloaded 2019. Finally, I've been successful. 2019.4.13 F1. Okay,
I think that's the final version that I'm using. So let this process get imported fully.
Okay.
I'll show you where you are getting stuck, and I'll help you out with that. Will that be okay?
Sure. Thank you.
Let this import process.
Thank you. Yeah. Because I feel whenever we are downloading the software, because I've felt that in Python also, if you are not installing it in the correct folder, it sometimes creates a lot of problem for you.
Yeah, it does. So right now, if you're trying to go ahead and select Android, it does not give you these options. Is that so?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
So it does say something like this: install with Unity Hub.
Yes.
Does it say something? Okay.
Yes.
So that means that your Android support is not downloaded properly. If it is not giving you this option, that means that your Android support is not downloaded and installed properly. So in order to fix this, what you can do is you can go back to Unity Hub. Let me go ahead and show it to you. So let me switch the screen. Actually, it's tricky to actually in the Google Meet. Actually, it does loses the Unity part a lot. If I try to share the window, yes.
If you share entire screen, then it's fine. Otherwise, it will keep losing.
Yeah, actually it does that. So now if you go ahead and look into this, right now I don't have any Android support for both of these versions. So if I go to add modules over here, okay, I can see this option Android build support is grayed out. I can't go ahead and check or uncheck
it. Yeah, right.
These options are already installed. It is showing me these options are installed. So is it showing you for you as well? Are these options installed for you?
No, it was not. It was not. That is why I tried downloading the Unity setup Android.exe. But when I'm running that, it does not let me select the components to install.
Okay, so just go ahead with the Unity Hub over there. Right now you might be having this add modules option. Is it available for you?
I'll just see, sir.
Okay.
Because even the hub closes.
No, hub does not closes actually. Hub goes into the it just closes from the foreground. It runs in the background. So if you click onto the arrow, that will be onto the task manager taskbar. You will be able to open the Unity Hub.
No, it doesn't show me add modules.
Okay, so what are the options that is showing you right now?
Show in Explorer, remove from Hub.
Okay, so it is not giving you the option to add or install. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay.
Anyway, we can, in the interest of time, I don't want to waste everyone's time. We
No
can do
problem.
this
So
later, and you can continue with the session. We can refer to the video probably later, because I was
okay.
able to download finally myself
Mhm.
at the end the latest version also.
Okay. Now I think the problem that is happening because you have downloaded a guided approach for Unity Hub. So that is why
Okay.
it is not allowing you to do it until you complete the tutorial sections. Then after that only you will be allowed to go ahead and have a full control of Unity Hub. So
Okay.
that's why it is like I do recommend if for an experienced person or in any workshop I do recommend to go for returning user download so that they can have a complete
Direct
access of
control.
direct
Okay.
control and complete access of the Unity Hub.
Sure. Thank you.
No,
Thank you for
no,
answering the
no problem, no
questions.
problem. You won't be able to face any problem during the development of this. So just is there for building the APK. Just that will be affected. You won't be able to get out an APK, but except that everything will be running smoothly even for your scene as well.
Oh,
So if
that's
you
great
follow
then.
along,
Yeah.
if you follow along. So let me go ahead and try to switch the scene again. Now, it is going back and forth. Yeah, finally. So it is like treasure hunt whenever you try to share Unity screen with Meets. So either you hit it at the right spot or it will be gone. So right now, once I add my build scene, now even if it is the PC, Mac or Android, doesn't matter. You add it, you change the switch the platform. That's it. Now after you do that, you have to go ahead and go to the assets, import package, custom package, and import the package that you have downloaded just now. Did you import it? Did you import the package? If you have, you can verify it with the Google VR assets file that will be available at the bottom. So you will be able to see Google VR folder at the bottom.
Sorry, sir, I lost you for a minute. You said assets, import new assets, and then
Import package, and then custom package.
custom package, right?
And then it will ask you to select where you have downloaded the Google VR for Unity package.
Right.
So the
So we
file
just
that you have
selected.
downloaded, yes, and then click on open.
Done.
And it will start a new process of importing. So
Done.
Once it will give you this option to import all, it will give you an option to import all. You just need to select import all unless you have to customize that object. So if you click on it, it will import everything and make it ready for your uses. So like this. So if you go ahead and right now you can see these options has been modified, and there will be one new option, that is the readme file, as I was showing you before. So you need this readme file later on. So right now I don't need it, so I'm going to go ahead and click on cancel. I already have this Google VR SDK. So I'm going to go ahead and try to create a better scene as we have some time today. So we're going to go for my asset view, like asset folder, asset store, and I'm going to click on I'm going to open up low poly assets. So why I'm opening up low poly assets? So if I'm running a VR onto a mobile phone that is already compute intensive, And if I put in a lot of very good graphics on top of it, then it will make it really difficult for the mobile to process everything and give me a result out of it. So that is why I do use a low poly asset specifically for mobile based VR applications. So I have already downloaded this low poly simple nature pack. If you go ahead and search for low poly simple nature pack, I'm just going to give you the name on the chat so that you can go ahead and search it and download it. It's just of 1 megabyte, and you can download it and click on import. Again, the import process will be the similar. You go ahead and import it, and the way you can just do it. Once it is imported, we're gonna go ahead and try to place and try to create some scenes in this area. Now, once this is imported for me, let me allow you to go ahead and import it. Have you downloaded it and imported it?
So in the first step, we did poly.
Low poly.
Low poly.
Yes, we did go and search for low poly.
Yeah.
And then we changed the pricing options to free assets so that we can go ahead and everybody can download it. Then there was an asset, low poly simple nature pack. For the ease of searching this asset, I gave you the name directly in the chat. You can just put that name onto the search bar. If you click on it, it will open up that area where you can just go ahead and click on right now you won't be getting the option to import. You will get an option to download. Once you download, you will get an option to import. Have you been able to follow along, ma'am?
Somehow your screen, the way you have resized it, it's not allowing me. So I'm able to see simple nature pack, and I'm trying to import that, but it's not showing me that option on my.
Okay, so is it showing you the download option?
No, maybe I can do a control minus. Will it work? No, it will not.
Okay, so if your layout is not helping you out, what you can do is you can click on this right side. There is a layout button that is there at the top. You can click on it and you can click on tall.
Okay.
So if you click on tall, you will get a completely different layout where you will have this kind of layout, which will have like a complete dedicated window at the very left for the entire everything to view, and you can go ahead and resize it properly. If you have a less screen space in your scene right now, then you can go ahead and search for low poly. Go for
if I do tall, then assets wala to loss hi ho gaya.
Yeah, you can go to window and bring it back. You can go to window and click on asset store. It will come back.
Yeah, right, got it. I'm sorry, is it only me who's having all those doubts? everyone is
Uh,
pretty comfortable.
no, it happens. It happens. Unity is a very complex piece of software. It's a very complex piece of software. It does do a lot of things for by default, unless you are used to it. But if you're not, it does like
Can I
uh,
share my screen and you can guide me so that the time
yeah,
taken
sure,
is
sure.
less?
Yeah, sure. Let me go ahead and stop sharing my screen. Okay, it's already done. Yeah, you can share your screen.
So I hope you're
Yeah.
able to see.
Yes, I can see it.
Yeah. So I've done low poly and now
Scroll
I
down.
scroll ही तो नहीं हो रहा है.
Okay, scroll is not happening. Okay.
Uh,
No, there is a scroll bar at the top. There is a scroll bar at the top. So make it full screen और side में कोने में black color का scroll bar है. So come to the asset store, like click on the asset store nearby or search for, okay, let's make it really simple for you. So I have sent the name in the chat, that is low poly simple nature pack.
so
Copy
I'll
that
put that right here.
yes. Make a search of it. Yes. Yes. And then try to scroll down. Are you able to scroll? Yes.
Got it somehow.
Yes. That second pack, like this one,
This one.
just create low poly simple nature pack, free pack. Yes. Click on this. And then again scroll down.
Download.
You have an option to download. And there is an option to import.
All?
Click on import. Everything is selected by default, and then you can click on import. It will import it. Done. Now you can go back to the scene view. There is at the top you have a scene option, top left. You can click on that, and now we will go ahead and try to create the scene.
Thank you. And I go back to my 4 split.
No, you can click on default. That was the default layout which you wanted to, which is there.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
No problem.
Really appreciate.
No problem. So let me now share it. Okay. Is it shared? Yeah. Now, once I'm here and I have created the simple scene, there are one more thing that needs to be set up before we go ahead and create a complete VR experience directly. So in order to do that, we're going to go ahead and go to build settings again, file, build settings, and open up this player settings. Now, if we click on this player settings, we now have to go to this XR settings that is at the bottom. So I will wait for all of you to go ahead and click on file, build settings, then player settings to open up this project window.
Done.
Done. Now in this XR settings, we can go ahead and directly enable the virtual reality support. So if we just check this box, our virtual reality support is done. Now, it is not yet done. Why? We need to go ahead and add the SDK. As we know that virtual reality is being manufactured by a lot of different companies, and a lot of different hardwares, and a lot of different types of hardwares are also there. So we need to define what kind of hardware we are targeting to. For example, whenever we are creating a Python application, or we are creating an Android application or an iOS application, we have to keep in mind what kind of devices are being targeted. A simple example, if I'm creating an Android app, are we targeting the devices which are running below 4.4, or are we targeting the devices which are running above Android 5? So similar choices we have to make. And now I'm going to go ahead and add. So if I click on this add button, as we have downloaded and integrated the Cardboard SDK onto our Unity, if you click on this plus button, you will see this Cardboard option over here. If you click on it, this SDK will be added, and similar project settings will be imported onto this. So let's wait for it to get imported. Have you done it?
So plus button is very much visible.
Yeah. Then if you click on Cardboard, will also be visible if you have imported the Cardboard SDK.
I did, but it is not showing.
Okay. Okay. All right. So for you, there can be another option. So can you see there is an XR management at the last in the project settings?
Yes.
There is an XR management. If you click on it, you will have to actually install the plugin and all. So it's a long process, but you have to install the XR plugin management, and then you will be able to do it. Or you can simply switch. Okay, so for you, why it is not switching? Because of your Android support.
Yeah.
Cardboard is only available for Android. Daydream is available for Android, whereas
Yes.
Oculus is also available for Android. But this mock HMD, that is a Steam VR, that is like Rift, you can go ahead and use it for your Windows as well. So this is there. So I think you might be getting. No, you should not select anything as of now. Like this will only be used when you are creating a build out of it. So as of now, you are not able to create a build specifically for your use case. Since you are not able to create a build, no problem with that. Okay. Now other options that we have to change is we're gonna have to remove the Vulkan library support. Why? Because Vulkan library is available mostly onto the Linux system, and Vulkan is very hardware dependent. So this Android Cardboard system does not support the Vulkan library. So in order to remove this graphics library, we're gonna have to select this other settings, and in this one we have an option for Auto Graphics API. Under that we have a graphics API list. What are the graphics APIs that is selected? We're gonna have to remove this Vulkan API. To remove it, you're gonna go ahead and select this Vulkan. It will be selected with a blue color. Then you click on this minus symbol, and it will remove the Vulkan library. And should I explain the process again? You have to click on the build settings. Under the same settings, there is a section for other settings. In the other settings, you will have an option for graphics APIs. In that, you select Vulkan and then click on minus button to remove the Vulkan library. It will take few minutes to remove the Vulkan library. Once it is done, you won't see the Vulkan library, only OpenGLES3 will be there. Did everyone follow along? Did everyone follow along with this?
If you're asking me, do I have to do that? I mean, I thought.
Yeah, you should do that. You should do that actually.
Okay, so I have
other settings.
Player.
And if you have, yes, player, other settings.
Yes.
Then you have graphics APIs, a list of it.
graphics APIs, auto graphic APIs for Windows.
Yeah, and after that there is like in the AutoGraphics API there is a list of it right now shown in the screen. So there will be you will be having an option for OpenGL ES3 or Vulkan. Do you have those options?
No.
No, okay, no problem then. If you don't have, there is no problem in that. All right, now once we are done, what do we need to do? So we're gonna go ahead and create a very simple scene by drag and drop. So we're gonna open the sample nature pack that is available onto our assets directly over here. We're gonna go ahead and open this up. Inside this, we are not gonna touch any other folder except prefabs. We're gonna go ahead and open the prefabs folder. So what we're gonna open? Assets, sample nature pack, prefabs. Inside this, we will see a lot of options that is available to us directly. So we're gonna go ahead and create a grass land, a ground. So there are some options for ground. So I'm gonna go ahead and drag it and drop it onto my hierarchy for the ground to be laid out. Now once I go ahead and drag and drop it, it gives me a ground directly. Now I can go ahead and realign this setup and look into and try to decorate this ground for according to my use case. So have you all been able to follow along and drop this ground onto the hierarchy? Click on it, drag it and drop it on the hierarchy. Now
ground 1, right?
Yeah, any ground you can choose, up to you. Now moving on, what we do need is first, I do like to place the trees first. So I'm going to go ahead and use any of the tree, that is tree 1, tree 2 and tree 3. I'm going to use all of it interchangeably to try and place it onto the scene. So in order to place it, you might find difficulty while if you try to go ahead and drag and drop it onto the hierarchy, you might see that this tree is not exactly on the ground. It is going under the ground. So in order to place it properly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag it and drop it directly on top of the ground. So if I go ahead and try to directly drag it and drop it on top of the ground, you will see that it is navigating alongside on the axis of ground. So it is actually following the ground plane when we are trying to place it. So I'm going to go ahead and directly place it on the ground so that onto the scene directly, so that I can place it properly over the ground surface. So I'm going to just go ahead and quickly put up a few trees and some grass in between. Well, grass might not be that much noticeable as of now, as this is a very small scene and we are looking at from the very far angle. That's why. So now once we are done and placing all these trees, what I want is I want to go ahead and bring all these trees into a single asset, because these trees in the hierarchy, it is looking cluttered now. So I'm going to go ahead and create an empty game object. I'll wait for others to go ahead and try to finish it for the first time so that they can actually go ahead and place it properly onto the ground.
So I didn't understand one thing. You said that it has to be directly on the ground, right?
Yeah.
So which axis do I focus on so that it places directly on the ground? Because I can also see my trees a little raised from the ground.
Yeah. Yes. So if your tree is little raised, you can actually go ahead and try to manually fix it. But for me, when I try to go ahead and directly drag it on top of the ground, it is actually making it properly fixed and attached.
Okay.
And what you can look into is you can select the ground and you can cross verify whether your axis is 0, 0, 0. The positional axis is 0, 0, 0 for ground. Mm-hmm. If you select the ground, whether your positional axis is 0, 0 and 0.
It is not. So I should make it 0, 0, 0.
Yes, you can click on these 3 buttons at the top that is there and click on reset it, and it will go ahead and reset that ground completely to 0. If it goes outside of the scene, you select the ground and bring your cursor to the scene view and then press F.
Which button? I've manually done it 0, 0, 0. Which button you were otherwise saying?
So there is this
got
button
got it, got it,
over
got
there,
it,
and it
got
says
it.
reset. Now, if it goes outside your window, like outside your visible spectrum or outside the visible scene area, you can go ahead and select this ground and then come to the scene view, put your mouse cursor in the scene view and press F. Once you press F, it directly focuses onto the scene and the asset that you have selected. Right now, I'm gonna go ahead and look at this scene from this perspective. I like this perspective of the scene, so I will go ahead and look into this scene from this perspective, and I want to change the camera view to this view. So let me go ahead and drag this camera view out over here. Now if I look into from this view, it is not looking that great, and I'm not able to see a lot of these details which I've added over here. So let me go ahead and add a few more. So I've added a few more details over here. I want to look into these details, but right now it is not available for me to view. Now, in order to make this happen, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and select my main camera, change the view properly, what I want to look, and then press Control, Shift, and F together. Now, once I do that, the camera position snaps to this exact view which is there in the scene view. So you just go ahead and align how you want to look at the scene, then then select the main camera and press Control Shift F. After selecting the main camera, if you select any other game object and then do it, then that game object will be aligning with that screen view. Or other way, what you can do is you can go to edit. There should be an option to align with view. Let me go ahead and find it. Yeah. So align with view. In the game object, you have an option to align with view, which will align that game object to with the view that is there. Is it done? Is it done?
So I have just right now placed one tree as of now.
Okay.
I just have one question. The way you are, rotating, how are you? Because when you select the item, it is it highlights it. I understand there are 3 axes, and you can pull. When you pull, it is pulling according to the axis which you have selected.
Yes.
Right.
So
that much I've understood.
Yes. So how now, I am able to rotate and place, move around the scene and look into the scene. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I do is I use heavily Alt key on the keyboard. So if I press Alt key on the keyboard, you can see the cursor changes from this mouse pointer to the eye symbol.
Okay.
Okay. Once I do that, I can make a left click and then rotate the scene to view around. Yes.
Got it. So these are the shortcuts you have to say साथ में.
I think I had shared this in the very first class in the very first day.
Okay, I'll write it down. I think I forgot. Age is catching up.
Okay. No problem. So once you click select this Alt button and then move around, this is one option to go for. Or if you go ahead and select this hand button that is there at the top left, okay, and the shortcut for that is Q. If you select that, you will get a hand option which you can use to move around the scene this way. But I do find this Alt option much more interesting to use. Alt with the scroll button is much more intuitive to use. Right now, even my mushroom seems to be floating on the ground. So I'm going to go ahead and select it and place it in the ground. Yeah. Now, what I'm gonna, ma'am, I think, have you selected your desired view?
Yes, sir, done.
All right. So let's go ahead and arrange all these options into a game object. So for this, I'm gonna go ahead and select this plus button over here and click on Create Empty if I click on create empty, it is gonna go ahead and give me this game object. So I'm gonna select this and I'm gonna name it as environment. Once I create this environment, what I'll do is I will select all the trees and mushrooms, leaving the ground there, and I'll just drag everything and drop it on top of environment, so that it nests all of it to create a parent-child relationship. So if I now change the environment position, if I select the environment, you can see everything that is there as a part of environment is selected, except the ground, as I have not selected the ground. And those things which are selected is having, I think, orangish boundary now. Now, once I have that, I can go ahead and click it out and done it. Now, once this thing is done, let's go ahead and now prepare for virtual reality. Till this much, it was just setting up the scene, how this virtual reality environment will look like. So now, in order to work with our virtual reality, we're gonna need a very first thing, that is the emulator, to see actually how the virtual reality will behave when we are trying to work on it. So for this one, I'm gonna go ahead and in this search option, since there are lots of options for this, so I'm gonna go in the search options and I'm gonna go ahead and search for emulator. Now, if I go ahead and search for EMU in this search option in this asset panel, I see this GVR editor emulator. Can you all see this option? There is an emulator. If you search for the emulator, you do get GVR editor emulator.
I think it will not be there for me, or will it be?
No, you have imported the SDK. Since you have imported the SDK, it will be there.
Okay. So we are right now in assets.
Yes. So in this, no, you don't have to go ahead, like in this project panel, there is a search bar on the left corner. So just search for EMU or emulator. You will get this option.
Okay.
So Google GVR editor emulator with this symbol on top of it.
Got it, emulator?
So, yes. Once you select that, now you have to drag it and drop it on top of the hierarchy window. Make sure that you don't nest it or you don't create a child of any game object while you are pasting it. So it should be independent. Now, once you just need to click on it, drag it and drop it onto the hierarchy.
Done.
Once you do that, now if you go ahead and click on play, now you will be able to move and see this view or see this scene with the Google emulator view. Now, if you look into this right now, I'm not able to see the ground, and I can go ahead and try to, if I press Alt, I can view, like I can rotate and view according to the virtual reality movement that will happen. So right now my camera is somewhere wrong, I guess. Now what is happening is the camera is actually going back onto this position. That is why it is not able to see this. Now in order to fix this, we'll have to create a camera rig. So what is a camera rig? A camera rig is like whenever a cinematographer is there, he will wear a bodysuit where he will hold a camera and gimbal. So we're gonna go ahead and create a camera rig for our virtual reality setup so that my phone's camera can act as a camera rig. So in order to create that, I'm gonna go ahead and create an empty game object. Again, create an empty, and I will name this as camera rig. So in order to rename it, you can just select it, and in the inspector panel, you have this option for renaming it. You can go ahead and rename it. Now, once I look into this, I do have a transform, which is completely weird for me. I'm going to go ahead and reset it so that it sets to 0, 0, 0. Now, I will go ahead and look into the exact view. As I said, I wanted to have a view which I like for my camera to view it. So I like this view. So now I'm going to go ahead and select my camera rig and press Ctrl, Shift, and F to align my camera view with this exact view. So the camera rig is now selecting this view. Right now, it is just an empty game object. So I will wait for you to go ahead and follow along. Create an empty game object, select the view, and make it align with the view. Is it done?
So I've renamed it. I have set the
In view to
property
exactly.
to no. First the thing transform 000, and then now you said align the view.
Yes, look at the change the scene view the way you want your VR to be visible at. Then
Right.
select the camera rig and make sure that you align the camera rig with this transform. So Control Shift and F.
Control Shift and F. Done.
Done. Now your camera rig position, rotation, and everything will change. Did it change?
So when
according to your scene, it will change. Now once you have done it, you will drag. Since right now this is just an empty game object, it does not have a camera, so we can't call it as a camera rig. It is just the structure, a clothing material, and some rods that is there. Comparing with the real environment. Now we need to put the camera inside this camera rig. So we're gonna go ahead and drag our main camera and drop it onto our camera rig.
Main camera onto the camera rig.
Rig. Now once we do that, you can see there is a camera preview, and if you look into this, the camera preview and the scene preview that you had created is not matching up. Why? Because camera has its own position, transform, and rotation. So you're gonna go ahead and make sure that you reset it. Now once you reset it, your camera position will align with the camera rig position.
Okay.
But in order for that to happen, it must be a child of it. So your camera, whenever you're dropping the camera, you should drop it onto the camera rig. So main camera should be inside this camera rig.
And if my view is not proper, then the camera may be at some other angle.
Yes, some other angle and some other position.
Yeah.
You can go ahead and reset the transform to 0 by clicking onto it, reset, and it will change the transform, or it will take the transform of camera rig inside the main camera. Now, if I go ahead and play it, I can see this VR system completely set up. And if I press Alt, I can see from this scope.
Okay.
Now I can see it from this angle, and now I'm not under the ground to see the scene. Now, there are a few more things that needs to be
beautiful.
done. Now, technically your VR scene is ready. But whenever you go inside a Google VR setup, you do see a few things. That is, there will be a raycast pointer that will be pointing towards what you are seeing and how you're going to go ahead and interact. So in order to make that happen, let's go ahead and bring in the pointer. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in the pointer. So I'm going to select the pointer. I'm going to search for the pointer in the asset window, and I will find that there is a on reticle pointer prefab that is available for me. Can you find that on reticle pointer? You can just search for pointer.
Got it. Why others are like hash symbols? So there are some code files, and this is a different type of file.
So all these hash symbols are basically the scripts.
Yeah, that is what. So these are code files basically.
Yes.
And this one is the kind of application for that.
No, this is a prefab. So prefab is basically like if you select this prefab, you will see that this prefab has a lot of things. For example, it has a transform. It has a script already attached to it. It also has a pointer, which is a shader, which actually shades like it has a HLSL program, which is directly there. I think you might be a computer graphics program which will create a pointer. So you don't have to go ahead and add and do all these things again and again. So you create a prefab so that you can reuse it. So it's a already created prefab file which you can reuse it right now. So I'm going to go ahead and use this since it needs to be attached with the camera so that camera can point a ray. So that I'm going to go ahead and drag it and drop it on top of my main camera. So now once I go ahead and look into this, I can see now if I go ahead and try to play this scene, I will be able to see that there will be a white pointer looking at the screen. So there you can see there is a white pointer. If I bring it to the shadow, you can see there is a white pointer exactly at the center of the screen, right?
Yes.
Now, did you got the exact white pointer that is on top of
Got
your
it.
screen?
Got it.
Got it? Now, if you want to change this pointer color or anything that you want, you can go to the shader and change the color of it. So you can open the shader and change the color of it. It will just do it. You can also change the inner diameter, outer diameter, and the distance, and all these things. You can customize it. But for our use case, I'm just gonna go ahead and keep it that way so that I can make this tutorial a bit simple. All right. Now, once we are at that stage, now what we have to do is we have to go ahead and try to interact with any object. Now, in order to interact with any object, what are the things that we will need? So we will need an event system. So we need our VR to generate some events. So we're gonna go ahead and search for event. Now, if we go ahead and search for event, we do get a GVR event system. Did you find that GVR event system?
Done.
You got it?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Now, once we have this GVR event system, we're gonna go ahead and drag it and drop it onto the outside, like this. We're gonna go ahead and drag it and drop it a GVR event system directly on the screen and directly onto the hierarchy.
As an independent thing.
Yes.
Got it.
Huh?
Yeah.
Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and try to create something that we can use onto our with our event system. So we're gonna go ahead and create a cube for our use case. So we're gonna go ahead and spawn a cube. Now this cube is going over there and it is under the ground. So I'm gonna just bring it back and keep it in the scene, and I'm gonna just go ahead and reset it, like position it for my use case. So I'm gonna just go ahead and quickly make it small and sit somewhere in the scene. And after this, I'm just gonna go ahead and cross this search. I'm gonna go ahead and create a cube for now and place it into your scene properly.
Done.
And have you placed it properly?
Yeah.
All right. Now,
But how come you have not, for this you didn't reset? I did reset it because I wanted it exactly near my tree.
Okay. So by resetting it, you just got it there, and I wanted to just bring it over here because I knew that this is not the center of my screen.
Sure.
I just brought it there. That's why. Okay. Now, once we are there, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and create a folder for our material. So we're gonna go ahead and create a new folder. Right click over here and create folder. Now, once we go ahead and try to create a folder, it does gives us a new folder. Right now, I haven't been able to rename it. So I'm gonna go ahead and rename it by right clicking over there and rename. Now, if I go to the rename option, I'm gonna go ahead and type material.
Done.
So I'm gonna go ahead and create a new material over here. That will be something of, now I'm gonna go to create material and I'm naming it as red, and I'm creating it a red material for now. And I'm gonna go ahead and apply it on top of a cube so that my cube becomes red in color. Is that fine?
Yeah, just choosing the color.
Okay.
So my even after choosing my albedo, it didn't turn red. Why?
You have not applied the color, the material onto the cube. So go ahead and drag it and drop it on top of the cube.
Okay.
The material will change. The material color will change over here at the bottom. It will change, but
no, it didn't.
Okay. Can you share your screen? Okay. So let me go ahead. Let me try to do it again so that you can see it. I'm creating.
I did create material. Yeah.
Now I'm naming it as, let's say, blue. Okay. Selected over there. Now I need to select this blue in order to change the color. Then I will go to the albedo over here, click on it, and then change the blue color. I think this is blue color. Now, if I go ahead and change this option over here. So there is a slider which usually be onto the white side. So there is a center. If you go ahead and change this color, it will just change this selection. And there is another option over here, which is usually pointing at the white.
Done,
you go
done,
ahead and
done.
bring it back to the blue. Then it changes the color to the blue. Have you
Done,
done it?
done. Yeah.
Now, is it blue? Like whatever color you wanted to make it, did it happen?
Yes, done.
Now, have you applied it to your cube?
Yes, done.
Done. All right. Now, what we're gonna do is now we're gonna go ahead and select onto our cube, and now it's time to add some event system. Now, in order to register the events, let's say if my raycast that is there is looking at this cube, I want to make some changes to this cube. Okay. So for that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a component from the inspector that is a event trigger component. So whenever some event will happen, it will trigger something. So I'm going to go ahead and add an event trigger component onto the cube. So in order to add an event trigger, what you can do is you can click on add component, search for event, and you will get an event trigger component. Did you add it?
So this all you're doing by selecting the cube, right?
Yes. I want the cube to be affected with the events. So that's why I'm creating it inside the cube.
Done.
Done?
Yeah.
Great. Now, we're going to go to again back to the camera rig. Okay, and right now we have just the pointer over here and we have the main camera. So what we want our camera to be actually able to interact with that cube. So in order to make that happen, we need a physics-based raycaster onto our camera so that our camera can actually shoot some rays. Right now we are just rendering out the pointer. It is not shooting any rays. And our camera is actually the parent point which must shoot some rays. So we're going to go ahead and select our main camera again and add a component, add a script to shoot some rays. So I'm going to go ahead and select raycaster, or I can just write GVR, or I can go ahead and write raycaster. Now you can see there will be like two raycaster component. GVR pointer graphic raycaster, which is a graphic based raycaster, and a physics based raycaster. I want a physics based raycaster, so I'm going to apply in my main camera. I'm going to add a component that is GVR pointer physics raycaster. Selecting the main camera, add a component, select for raycaster GVR pointer physics raycaster. Once you do that, this is done for the camera. Our camera is now ready to render the raycast and shoot some rays as well. Now in our event system, we do have our event system properly set up, and for our cube as well, we do have an event trigger system. What are the things that must happen inside the events? So for that, we must write some scripts now. So in order to write this script, we're gonna go ahead and create a new folder for scripts. Now we have a script folder. Inside this, we're gonna go ahead and create a C# script. So we're gonna name this as color change, a very simple script that we are trying to create over here. Now, once we create this color change script, we can go ahead and open it in our Visual Studio. So let's double click onto this and it will open up Visual Studio. Now, if you don't have Visual Studio correctly set up and open, or if you don't have your editor correctly set up and it is not opening Visual Studio, what you can do is you can go to project settings. Inside this, not project settings, you can go to preferences, and inside preferences, you have external tools. Now inside this external tools, you have external script editor. Whatever editor you have, you can select it, or if it is not available by the list, you can go ahead and browse it in order to change your editor.
That means you can use Notepad, Notepad++, or whatever we are using.
Yes. So if you want to use, like, if you don't have any text editor and you want to use Notepad, what you can do is you can right click over here and click on Show in Explorer. Now this will open up your Windows panel wherever your script folder is there, and there is a script file. You open up that in the Notepad and you can follow along and write the script in Notepad or Notepad++. Now I will be using Visual Studio as it gives me a better option and better view of my code, what I'm writing, but you can follow in the Notepad++ as well.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, the code is, we have to learn the code, so that's okay. Whichever tool we are using.
Yes, let me go ahead and switch the view actually. And, it's time to change the projection. So let me go ahead and open up my cardboard. Now over here, I will go ahead and directly complete all the steps, as Google Meet is giving me some problems in casting the Unity scene. So I will write all the codes right now over here. So in this class, in this code, actually, I don't need this start. I don't want the code to be starting when the game is starting, or I don't want anything to be changing when on every frame, or I am not looking into any physics computation. What I want is just a basic behavior which needs to be invoked when some event is happening. So for that one, I don't need these two options. I don't need these options. Now, similar to any object-oriented programming, public, protected, and private, these three classes are still there. Now, if I use public, it will be public. It will be for like every object and every component will be able to access it. If I create a private, it will only be accessible. It will be the private component, and protected. If I go ahead and create a protected, it will only be available by its friends functions. So the friend functions of this class color change. So I'm going to go ahead and create a public method because I want the event system to be able to access this function, and I don't want it to return anything. So I'm creating a void method, and I want to make it, let's say, yellow. So I'm trying to change the color of the cube to be yellow. So I'm naming it as yellow. Now, once I do that, I'm going to go ahead and give the parenthesis as in the programming. Now, since I will be adding this object directly to my cube, I don't need to go ahead and refer the cube directly, as this will have all the access directly to the component. So I'm going to go ahead and directly write get component. So it will directly get the component of this cube directly of the game object where it is attached to. So it is something like this dot game object. Now this is referring to the context. Now, since it is attached with the same object, so the context is the same context. So it is accessing the same game object. And now in this one, in this like square bracket, I can write the type, that is I want to access the renderer component. Now inside this renderer component, this is the function that needs to be invoked to properly get the renderer component. Once I get that, I can go ahead and write material to get the material out of it. Now I don't want to change all the properties of the material at once. I just want to change the color property of it. So I'm going to go ahead and access the color, and I can go ahead and define the color to be changing. Now I don't know what are the color options and what are the color values that I have available. So I'm going to press dot, and then I'm going to go ahead and loop what values I do have over here. So if I go ahead and look into this, I can see like there is a yellow option available to me. So I can just select yellow and close it. Now, once I do that, I'm gonna go ahead and create one more color so that I can actually show that there is a physics-based interaction happening. So I'm gonna go ahead and create one more public void. And for this one, I'm gonna go ahead and create, let's say, orange, or let me name it as like exit color, because I'm not sure which color I'm going to use now. So I'm going to go ahead and get component, and I'm going to access renderer component, and inside this inside the renderer component, I'm going to go ahead and access the material. I'm going to access the color value of it, and I'm going to change the color value directly to green. Sounds fine to me. So I'm going to go ahead and use the green color. So let it be exit color. And now if I go ahead and save it, I can just save it and now go back to my Unity, and this is just that part which I have to write the script for today.
So for every property that I want to change of my asset, I will have to write a code line for that, right?
Yeah, technically you must write a code line for that, or you must have a logic how it will change that property. So if you want to move a character, if you want an object to be moving, how it will move, when it will move. So for that logic to happen, you must have to implement it via code.
Understood. Thank you.
So right now I have created two colors, and I have an exit color, and I'm going to use this yellow as an entry color. So whenever the raycast or the physics interaction is happening, then it will change the color to yellow. And if the physics interaction is going away, then it will be changing. Like if it is coming in, then it will be yellow. If it is going out, then it will be green. So I'm looking into that perspective. So I have created it, and now I'm going to go back and switch to my Unity. So for that, I will again have to go ahead and try to switch it. So let's go ahead and try to switch it now. Let's see. It was easy now. All right. Now I have this scene which is properly set up now for me. I can go ahead and change this scene. Okay. So in this cube, what I need to do is I need to go ahead and add this color change script. So in order to add it, I can go ahead and add component and search for color change. This will show me the script that I have created, or I can drag it and drop it over here. So I'm going to just go do the easy way, drop the color change script. Once it is done, it is just done. Now inside this, now I need to access the events. What are the events that I can go ahead and access? So I'm going to go ahead and create an add new event. Now there are lots of events. When the pointer is entering, when the pointering is exit, when the pointer is down, up, click, drag, drop, scroll, a lot of different events are there. So I'm going to go ahead and create two events, that is on pointer enter. So whenever the pointer is entering, and I'm going to create another event that is on pointer exit. So these two events I'm creating, that is whenever my pointer or the raycast pointer is entering onto this cube, what will happen, and while it is exiting, what will happen. Now enter and exit does not mean that it is penetrating through it. It means that it is colliding with it, and it is staying on, it is still colliding, and it is moving away. So what will happen? Now inside this, you will see the two base events that is there. It has nothing. The list is empty. So how I'm going to go ahead and create a list? So I'm going to go ahead and create plus over here. So in order to add something to the list, what are the things that must happen? So I need to go ahead and create a list of the things that should happen over here. So right now I'm going to go ahead and click on plus. Now it is asking for an object. For what object or for what thing you're going to go ahead and change it. So it is looking for a script component. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this color change, select this color change, and drop it on top of my object. Now it takes in this color change and it shows the function. Now if I go ahead and select the function, since it is a public variable, then only it will be able to come and I will be able to see it. Now if I go ahead and look into this, color change is yellow is available over here. I can go ahead and change this function to color change yellow. I'm repeating it again. Once I have added this, in order to add this list, I can go ahead and click on this plus icon that is there, add to the list. I can click on this and then select this color change script and add it as an object to be used. Now once this option is there, I can again go to the function. Now go to the function color script name where you have inside this function. In this, I have a color change script. Inside this color change, I have a script that is exit color. This needs to be exiting. So whenever pointer is exiting, I'm changing it to exit color. Whenever the pointer is entering, it is changing it to yellow. Have you been able to follow along? Have
Got
everyone
it.
got
Yeah,
it? Done?
yeah. I don't know
Right.
about the others, but I've got it.
Great. Now, if I go ahead and play it now, once I'm there, now I can go ahead and change. Okay, just a second. So if I go ahead and play it now, I can press the Alt button. Once it is there in the play mode, I can press the Alt button. And now if I go ahead and change, bring my pointer to the cube is changing color. And if I'm leaving, the cube is also changing color. So this is a pointer-based interaction, as the Google VR does not usually have a button or any controller. So you can actually go ahead and create some buttons where you can go ahead and add these events, what will happen. So if let's say I have a fire event, or let's say a trigger button, you can just click on that button and that will trigger something. So this you can go ahead and do it for your use case. Right now it is just triggering the color change of this cube. I hope you all can have been able to develop this. Is it happening for everybody?
Yep.
Great. Now, once it is done, there is just one last step remaining. I think, ma'am, you won't be able to do that step. That is opening up the window and clicking on build in order to get this thing out as the scene. Now, before we go ahead and add this scene, like extract this scene, you must go ahead and save this scene, as there is a star mark at the top. You must go ahead and save this scene so that all the details can be extracted out. Now, if you go to again, file, build settings and click on build, you will be able to get an APK, and that APK will be a Google Cardboard application, which you will be able to install on your phone, and you will be able to access it with the Cardboard app. Now, why I'm saying with the Cardboard app, in order to like access or run any Cardboard SDK or any Cardboard app, you must have a Google Cardboard app, which is available on the Play Store. You must download first the Cardboard app and then install this app and launch this app from the Cardboard. Then only you will be able to access this Cardboard application inside your phone. So I'm gonna go ahead and name this folder as build, and inside this again I'm gonna go ahead and name it as VR, and it will create a build of VR. Any questions? Any doubts so far?
So Khagendra sir, if we are making, you have just made one interaction right now.
Yes.
So if I'm making one for the pine tree, let's say, one for the other tree and one for the cube.
Yes.
So all
Yes.
those scripts will be added niche in the script section. And then when I make the APK, it will all be put together. Is that so?
Yes. So whenever you are if you want to change the color of this pine tree, or if you want to make any more interactions in the scene, usually what people do is like they create different scripts for different type of interactions, so that, and they club it together as a game manager, where they can just control all the interaction at once and have it as a connected class and an interface, a serialized interface of it.
Got it.
So-
Got it. Yeah.
So if you're going with that approach, you can go ahead and have instead of having a queue, you can have a game manager where all the events will be happening, and you will be the cube will be sent over there directly to be accessed as the script object, and this script will be added to the cube. But over here, there will be just a game manager component. But if you're asking for do I need to create different scripts for different interaction? If you want, you can. You should actually create for different interactions. But if you want to keep your if you have a very small interactions, you can have just one object and have public variables to define different game objects. If it is not the same game object, have a referenced game objects, and then you can create some interactions of it. So for example, if I go ahead and try to create some game object, public component of a game object, let me share the screen as well again. So if I have to create a very simple public game object where I want to just get the component or just get the value of So now I'm just gonna go ahead and create a public game object, let's say for mushroom. Okay, and now for this mushroom, what I want, whenever I am entering, whenever I'm exiting this yellow color, I want to debug dot log. I want to just give the position of the mushroom. So I'm gonna go to mushroom dot get component. Now, since the transform component is actually accessing all the values, I'm gonna go for the position. The transform and going for position. Now this should give me the value of the position of this mushroom. Now this mushroom is not actually is not anyhow connected with this cube game object where it was. Now I'm gonna go ahead and use this mushroom as a reference now. Now in order to use this, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just save this script and let me come back to Unity. Let me look at my Unity screen, share it. Yes. Is it shared now? Still like a treasure hunt for me. All right. Now, once I am here, what I can see over here, if I look into the cube game object and if I go there, there is a mushroom component, which I can go ahead and pass in the mushroom component from here. So I will go ahead and pass in this mushroom component inside this game object. Now, if I go to the console and if I play this scene, and whenever I will be entering onto this cube, this will give me, right now there is no value, there is no position value of this mushroom. And if I go ahead and press Alt and then enter into this, now you can see there is a frame debug.log, which is giving you the exact position of mushroom, that is 7.2 in X, 0.6 in Y, and minus 1.7 in Z, which we can verify by clicking onto mushroom. And if we go to the transform, we can see this exact component, this exact component onto the global scale. And since it is inside the environment, if you go ahead and add all these values, you're gonna get a similar value in there. So 3.9 plus 3.1 exactly will give you all these added values, will give you 7.2, 0.6 and 1.7. This is exact value for this mushroom component. Onto the global scale. Now there are two types of scale, that is local scale and global scale, where if you have a parent and a child relationship, the child is moving according to the global scale of the parent. So environment, wherever there's the environment, from that point it is calculating the origin. So that is why there is the location is different for mushroom and the environment location is again different. If you put it 0, then the location for this will change. I hope I have been able to explain your doubt, ma'am.
Yeah, clear.
Yeah. Now, okay, so there was like, sir, please explain the method for handling the error. Well, in C# you can actually go ahead and use the same error handling techniques that you learned in C, C++, or any object-oriented programming, like try catch. You can go ahead and use it. Any more doubts? So the build is also completed. We have got the build as well. So let me look into the build. Inside this build, I have a build, that is APK is currently done. The build got succeeded. So APK is also built out currently and it's successful. Any doubts?
Not from my side. Thank you.
Okay, any doubts from others?
Sir, I don't see any questions posted in the chat box, so perhaps we could go.
All right then. So I hope I have been able to deliver the value to all of you, and you have all have been able to create a first virtual reality experience for yourself.
Yes, it was interesting. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right. So again, doing the same thing, I will post this link onto my GitHub and onto my. If you want to access this exact project package file, I will share it via Google Drive link, and I will. If you contact me via my Instagram account, I will be able to share it to all of you.
That would be great. Thank you.
And let me share my Instagram handle again so that you can actually contact me. Because without that, how will you contact me? How will you know
Yes, sir.
which one is my Instagram handle? So let me go ahead and share it. So I'm actually done from my side. You can actually conclude if you want.
So, thank you so much, Nandini sir, for a very interesting and engaging session. And of course, I mean, I'm sure that the simplicity and the ease with which you have demonstrated the session today was wonderful. And it really seemed to be comparatively easier. So I'm sure our participants are going to be benefited with your knowledge session today. So with this, thank you once again, sir. Thank you so much. And so dear participants, without any delay, let's proceed for the lunch. And definitely let's get back to the forum by 2 p.m. sharp to proceed with the concluding session of today, that is session 13 with Mr. Ramireddy. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.